Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. American killed, 6 others injured in Hanover crash. The body of an American man was cut in half and 6 others seriously injured in a motor vehicle crash along the Point Hill Main Road leading to Hopewell in Hanover on Friday afternoon. The deceased has been identified as James Martinez of a Georgia address in the United States. It is reported that about 4:45 p.m., Martinez and 2 other Americans were traveling westerly in a Toyota Crown motor car. On reaching a section of the Point Hall Main Road, Martinez reported the lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a blue Isuzu motor truck which was traveling in the opposite direction. He died on the spot. The 2 other Americans and 4 occupants of the motor truck, including the driver, were rushed to hospital where they were admitted in serious condition. Tributes flow for entertainer Free Speech killed in Trelawny triple fatal crash. Tributes are flowing in for up-and-coming entertainer Free Speech, popular for his COVID-19 pandemic hit song Isolation, who was among 3 people killed in a motor vehicle crash on Friday night in Trelawny. The 30-year-old dancehall reggae singer, whose real name is Chris Andrew Cudner, was driving a Toyota Vaxi on the North Coast Highway in Spring Hill when a Toyota Mark X motor car crashed into his vehicle. Cudner, who was residing in Exchange Ultra St. Anne, was transporting several tourists at the time and reportedly also worked as a tour operator. Lexian Williams, 20 years old, popularly known as YouTuber Lexi D. Best, and Kenroy Smith, 25, were both traveling in the Toyota Mark X, also died of injuries they received in the crash. Him is no done. Him is no done. Him is no done. Him is a peacemaker. A niece of Emilia Morris shouted while she, other women and children protested along Maxwell Avenue in St. Andrew on Friday, decrying what they say was a cold-blooded murder by police officers. The woman, who other protesters addressed by her alias, insisted that her uncle was first shot in Maxwell area around 11:24 on Thursday night and handcuffed and taken away alive by cops. She added that she and others went into a car and began trailing the cops, but the police officers intercepted them and hit their vehicle, causing them to stop. Them start push gun into the car. We have to go in front of them, she said. The woman said that when the group got to Kingston Public Hospital, Morris was dead and his hands were not handcuffed. She rejected claims that Morris, who was also known by the alias Papa Stinger, was a don. Him no make the party them and everything a go on, and him cry peace, and him make the man them now war. Cause when them say war, him say peace, Apple said. Another of Morris's niece, whose father was murdered in 2010 in Maxwell community, alleged that the police had hit her uncle in his head with a gun. Him not dead when him go in at the jeep, them bring him go away and kill him. When people did go up in at the jeep, them the police did a pepper spray, she shouted during the protest. An alleged eyewitness who lives along Ramsey Road reported that Morris, whom some of the residents affectionately called Daddy, was standing on the sidewalk with another person along Maxwell Avenue when the police officers first accosted him with their vehicle lights dimmed. They grabbed him, he was crying for help, murder, and he was even telling them that I'm a baby mother and me a go too. He ma beg somebody to go call him baby mother. He ma cry out and say, "Them a kill me, them a kill me." After that, we heard one shot and they went away with him, she said. Superintendent Michael Phillips said Morris, who is also known as Daddy One, was a leader of the William Road gang, which operates off Maxwell Avenue, and was out on bail on a murder charge. A condition of his bail was that he must not be seen in the community of William Road or anywhere within the Kingston 13 area. This order was made by the court based on him accepting evidence that this man is a known violence perpetrator and carries with him a wave of violence whenever time he is in the community, Phillips added. One protester insisted that Morris was a changed man. People say Ray, but that was on the past. We are talking about the present now. Him have him kids them. Him is a changed person doing business. He's a peacemaker in the community. I can tell you that for sure, said the protester. The police superintendent said Morris challenged the police in a shootout on Thursday night and was hit after the cops responded to information of gunshots being fired in the community. He was also found with a firearm, Phillips said, although he acknowledged that the residents were disputing the police account. The information is somewhat being challenged by citizens within the community, and we have engaged the services of Indicom, and we're having them going into the area and have taken over this particular investigation, he said, referring to the Independent Commission of Investigations. Indicom did not respond to questions sent to them by reporters. Powerful in prison. A declaration from Prime Minister Andrew Holness that efforts are being made to tighten the screws on gangsters who continue their criminal enterprise from behind bars should come as good news for residents of sections of Hanover, where a convicted gang leader is believed to be behind several murders and shootings in recent months. The gangster, who is serving a 20-year sentence for shooting with intent and illegal possession of a firearm and ammunition, is believed to be issuing extortion demands as well as ordering murders from prison. There is no official word yet from the police on the involvement of the gangster in the attack, which claimed the lives of 44-year-old Omar Mohabi, 55-year-old Michael Smith, and 37-year-old Mark Austin on Wednesday night, and which left 4 others nursing gunshot wounds. But sources are adamant that the order to attack people at a mini-mart on the Longwood Suntor Crossroad in Hanover on Wednesday was issued by the man who continues to lead the gang despite being in prison, where he has been formed alliance with several convicts and has access to gunmen from other communities outside of Hanover. According to the sources, the gangster has decided that business people in the area, contractors and subcontractors, must pay a portion of their earnings to the gang. It is believed that while the attack on the mini-mart, in which all the people present were targeted, was a warning to people who have refused to pay. Sources further claim that the gang members were involved in the recent killing of a contractor in the area, the murder of one of the contractor's employees during a grave digging, and the fatal shooting of the brother of a major lottery scammer who refused to share his loot with the gangsters. In their official report, the police have said that they believe extortion is at the root of Wednesday's attack at the mini-mart. The police have already detained suspect members of the gang for questioning in connection with Wednesday's triple murder, but sources are adamant that unless the Prime Minister makes good on his promise to clamp down on people in prison running the criminal underworld, there will be more bloodshed in Hanover. Man charged for breaking at a restaurant in Westmoreland. Detectives assigned to the Westmoreland Police have arrested and charged 20-year-old laborer Ricardo Campbell in relation to a break-in at a restaurant. Campbell, who is from Farmpen District in the parish, was charged on Friday with shop breaking and larceny. The police report that about 1:30 a.m., Campbell broke into the restaurant and stole a black laptop bag containing $114,000. The alarm system alerted a team from the restaurant security company, who apprehended Campbell and handed him over to the police. He was subsequently charged. His court date is being finalized. Morgan attacks PNP for being hypocritical after Scott Moore accuses Prime Minister of disregarding judicial process in DRMA flaunting minister's affair. Jamaica Labour Party JLP Member of Parliament for Clarendon North Central, Robert Nestor Morgan, is taking issue with comments made by People's National Party PNP Senator Donna Scott Motley, who accused Prime Minister Andrew Holness of disregarding the judicial process when he announced on Thursday that a $100,000 fine will be imposed on government ministers who breached the Disaster Risk Management Act DRMA when they attended an album launch for recording artist Shensia on Tuesday. Morgan, in an interview, went as far as to call Scott Motley's comments hypocritical. Said Morgan, Mrs. Donna Scott Motley, the good senator, and her leader Mark Golding have demonstrated a special and acute type of hypocrisy. They have double standards and they are afraid to hold their members accountable for the same things they criticize us for. Because we've seen over the last several months, the leader of the opposition went on campaign. Many of the people with him were without mask while he went on the island-wide tour. We've seen a member of the opposition at the same event wearing a mask. We've also seen other members of the opposition flaunting the rules, Morgan stated. Adding that Holness has always held his party members accountable for their actions whenever they break the rules. Morgan said, on the occasions where members of the government have not followed the rules as they should, they have been sanctioned. We've yet to see a member of the opposition being sanctioned for not following the rules, and our leader is holding us accountable because that is what should happen, and that is what is the expectation of the people of Jamaica. And while our leader is holding us accountable, the senator and her leader are sitting on their sidelines, criticizing us for holding ourselves accountable while they are flaunting the role, Morgan continued. He also claimed that the opposition should be embarrassed that the government continues to demonstrate to the people of Jamaica that we care about the rules, while the PNP continues to flaunt the rules. Continuing to focus attention on the PNP, Morgan insisted that the PNP has no regard for the rules. He spoke to the scandal involving two former ministers of national security who were both being flagged in an Integrity Commission special report for awarding gun permits to individuals of questionable character. In the wake of the damning report, the Jamaica Labour Party's Robert Montague, who served as Security Minister between 2016 and 2018, resigned from the cabinet as Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. However, the PNP's Peter Bountin, who was Security Minister between 2012 and 2016, has refused to resign as opposition spokesman on national security or from his leadership position as leader of opposition business in the Senate, despite calls for him to do so. It's not just about COVID and DRMA. Whenever we do something that the country finds challenging to accept, we hold ourselves accountable. We cannot say that about Donna Scott Motors' party. Whenever they do anything, they do not want to hold themselves accountable. They find all sorts of excuses as to why they should not be held accountable for their actions, and that's a specific case with Mr. Bountin, Morgan stated. When asked about Scott Motors' statement about the Prime Minister has no authority to issue fines, and the ministers in question should instead be brought before the court, Morgan said Scott Motley clearly lacks an understanding about accountability. Other members who were sanctioned are members of a political organization called the Jamaica Labour Party. The leader of the Jamaica Labour Party has sanctioned them for what he deemed as inappropriate action within a part of the Constitution and a part of the rules of the organization. If you are a member of an organization and you do something that the organization feels you probably should not have done, the organization has the right to sanction you. It has nothing to do with a judicial process. It has nothing to do with a legal process, said Morgan, who is also Minister of Information. When asked if he believes the minister should have been charged by the police and taken before a judge for breaching COVID-19 protocols under the DRMA, Morgan said, "That is not something I can comment on, as I am not a constituted authority," before again focusing attention on the PNP. "But what I will say to you is that this is the case where an individual in our organization has been found to not live up to the rules of the DRMA. They have been sanctioned. If you go on social media, there are hundreds of pictures of members of the opposition flaunting the DRMA, not wearing masks, attending large crowds and campaigns. The opposition leader hosted a function with over 20 odd people there. None of them had on masks, and there was not 2 weeks ago, that was 1.5 weeks ago. It's hypocrisy, and country need to call them out for it," Morgan said. Following backlash and outrage from the public about preferential treatment for government ministers, Holness, during his contribution to the budget debate on Thursday, imposed what he said was a fine of 5 of his ministers who attended dancehall artist Century's album launch at Mixed Majors Campbell Boulevard Entertainment headquarters on Tuesday. They were all photographed, sometimes maskless, hugging and defying social distancing orders. West Kingston hit hard by learning loss, says Mackenzie. Kingston Western Member of Parliament Desmond Mackenzie said the students in his constituency have been severely impacted by learning loss after missing out on classes in the virtual setup ushered in by COVID-19 in March 2020. Speaking during the launch of the free Wi-Fi access point with internet services provided by the Universal Service Fund USF at the Tivoli Gardens Community Center on Friday, Mackenzie said that the past 2 years have been rough for many students. West Kingston is one of those constituencies that were severely impacted by COVID as it relates to education. We lost almost 1.5 years of learning because many students in West Kingston either could not afford the tablet, or even when we provided the tablets, the service was just not available. So we're going to be feeling the effects of that lost learning, he stated. The impact of that learning lost is already being manifested in the constituency, admitted Mackenzie, who is also the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. Before COVID, our primary schools in GSAT Grade 6 Achievement Test results were average in the high 80s, 90s, he said, referring to the procurement of the current primary PEP profile test used for high school placements. St. George's Girls' Schools, St. Aloysius were two of the top schools, and we had, up to before COVID, more passes for the so-called traditional high schools, and we had increases in many schools as high as 15% for traditional schools. When the results of the GSAT came out, hardly any school in West Kingston achieved that level of placement. As a matter of fact, our high schools receive what I would consider to be the bottom of the bucket in terms of placements. In January, Education Minister Favour Williams disclosed that a World Bank study had showed that the fiscal impact to support the health and safety requirements for reopening of country schools would be in the region of $2.4 billion to $3.9 billion annually for 1 to 2 years. This includes the cost of re-enrollment campaigns and outreach activities, providing targeted support for the most at-risk students, mitigating and preventing dropout, and facilitating remedial education to minimize learning loss. The World Bank concluded that the long-term cost of inaction is in the order of $828 billion, or approximately 40% of Jamaica's GDP, she told Parliament. So there is a need for real education, and real education comes with the personal interaction between the students and the teachers. The face-to-face is important, but with the advent of COVID, online learning is now an integral part of the education system, and we must provide all the tablets and computers that we can possibly give. If the service is not there for the students to access it, then it makes no sense, she said. In welcoming the free internet service, Mackenzie noted, its use would increase the students' understanding and expand their brain power by making relevant information easily accessible to help make them into better citizens. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.